Well, hello. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. So, this week's blog is entitled Universal Rights. So, I was trying to debate as to what I was going to write about this week. And I was kind of going through the internet and looking at certain headlines that usually kind of give me a bit of a muse to write about something. And I saw this one headline that said NRA styled groups popping up in Europe. And I didn't even read the article. The headline itself kind of got me thinking. One of the first things that I kind of looked at and I thought, well, in Europe, they don't have a Second Amendment. And as a result of that, anything that they're petitioning their respective governments is exclusively based on the idea of popularity. Well, we want this, therefore we're expecting our governments to go ahead and acquiesce and allow us to do this type of thing. And, candidly, there's not a lot of solid legal ground footing in that. And then I started thinking about it more deeply. And those of you who have gone through our CCW course or our renewal course, you definitely remember this little mini lecture that I do. The Second Amendment to the Constitution, that is a fundamental human right. It's not a right that's relegated exclusively to the confines of the United States. In fact, all of the rights that were essentially codified in the Bill of Rights, those are fundamental pre-existing rights. These rights, they have to be pre-existing to the Constitution, and they have to come from something that's beyond simply people. If people are completely dependent upon what determines is a right or is not a right, then we're totally dependent on whatever political structure happens to be in power at any given time. Rights pre-exist the Constitution, and those rights, as articulated in the Declaration of Independence, are given to us by our Creator. And however you interpret the Creator, that's completely up to your own level of religiosity. Regardless of that fact, it has to come from something that is transmutable, something that is beyond simply human beings. So, in a sense, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, while it's recognized in the United States, it exists overseas. Just as the Fourth Amendment, the Third Amendment, Cosmo, the First Amendment, they all exist universally. And with that, arguably, they do have solid footing. Now, their interests in obtaining firearms may be very different from ours. I suspect, again, without reading the article, I suspect that many of their interests lie more in the recreational aspects of things. Ours was a bulwark against tyranny. And tyranny is a very expansive concept, which we've talked about before. In any event, read the blog. I hope you find it interesting. This week, this Thursday, I'm going to be traveling to Indianapolis for the NRA convention. And every year I go through the NRA legal classes. So I'll most likely be writing about that next week. And I'm sure you will all be riveted to hear my analysis of that. In any event, I hope you enjoy it. And as always, train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. And above all else, stay safe.